Nature can be a teacher, can be for health, and can be used as a power source for magic. Some kinds of magic work directly with the elements of powers of nature. For example, energy to fuel a magical spell can be drawn from the field that permeates all things. But it can also be a specialized flavor or power drawn from wind, air currents, sunlight, the current and tides of the sea, or from lines of power deep within the earth. Nature materials such as wood, stone, metal, or herbs have their own special properties and are used in amulets, talismans, and ritual tools. Animal spirits, also a part of nature, can be guides, protectors, teachers, totems, or allies. When incarnate, some serve as familiars to witches, as psychic sensitives, or as guides in healing or divination work. Familiars can be cats, dogs, owls, ravens, toads, mice, ferrets, or other creatures. Weather working is one form of nature magic with a mixed reputation. In ancient times, some witches were said to control the winds and could capture the spirits in a triple tie bag. Release one knot, and a gentle breeze will spring up. 2 knots, and you will have a brisk wind. 3, and a violent storm will strike. Today witches are very cautious about interfering with natural weather, though our comet has occasionally done successful rain magic to break a drought. There are many ways to work divination with the aid of nature. Dowsing or witching for water is traditionally done with a forked hazel stick. Some can read future events in the patterns of clouds, the flights of birds, or by scrying in a still pond. In wildness is the salvation of the world, said naturalist and philosopher Henry David Thoreau. You know already that witches don't feel the need to be saved from original sin, but we do think the living earth needs to be saved from human folly and overuse. Partly this is a matter of simple survival. Think about it. Since destroying Earth ecosystems is a certain road to species suicide for Homo sapiens. However, it is even more than that for witches. Nature is our home planet, is the body of the divine for us, the embodiment of the goddess and the god. We don't believe the mainstream notion that all creation is just something God made, separate from Him, to be wisely trashed depending on whether you believe the rapture is imminent. We don't divide the material world into nasty, where the devil hangs out, from the world of the spirit, or nice, that belongs to God. For us, nature is the gods incarnate. The pagan chant from the reclaiming tradition of witchcraft sums it up. By the air that is her breath, by the fire of her bright spirit, by the waters of her womb, by the earth that is her body. The wind, the rocks, the trees, the critters with fur and feather, and scale and skin, all are part of the sacred body of the deity. Nature, which is simply everything, is a spirit field, holy and sacred. Also called Mother Earth, Gaia is her alias. Our bodies are made of many elements and systems, interconnecting and interdependent. And we have company. We are host to living things such as bacteria, fungi, yeast, protozoa, and archaea. There's a lot of them, though we have about 10 trillion cells in our bodies. There are 10 times that many bacteria in the intestines alone. Many of our tiny passengers are friendly. They compete with pathogens, manufacture vitamins, or remove toxins. Others have no known effect on us. Occasionally some go rogue, like cancer cells. You have heard of the Gaia hypothesis, I'm sure, now called the Gaia theory. First widely noticed when James Lovelock explained it in the 1970s. He suggested that the Earth behaves like a giant, complex living organism that could regulate its atmosphere and oceans to create and sustain an environment friendly to life. Lovelock defined Gaia as a complex entity involving the Earth's biosphere, atmosphere, oceans and soil, the totality feedback or cybernetic system which seeks an optical, physical and chemical environment for life on a planet. Our relationship with Gaia, the Earth, is that of living, sentient, and spirited beings to a greater such being of which we are part. Some authors have suggested that the human species is analogous to Gaia's brain. For Gaia's sake, we hope she has a better brain somewhere, because Homo sapiens is not behaving very smart in our relationships with the rest of the planet. Scientists from global research programs meeting in Amsterdam in 2001 noticed the problem. They said, human activities are influencing Earth's environment in many ways, in addition to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. Anthropogenic changes to Earth's land surface, oceans, coast and atmosphere, into biological diversity, the water cycle and the biogeochemical cycles are equal to some of the great forces of nature in their extent and impact. Many are accelerating. Human-driven changes cause multiple effects that cascade through the Earth system in complex ways. There is a great cause for alarm, but there's also hopeful signs that people are waking up to the dangers. You can do a lot of exercises in nature. You can take your book of Sadoks with you and watch this area until you can describe the life within it. You can visit places where each element reigns almost supreme, like a windy mountain, or a desert, volcano, or a hot spring. You can do meditations in nature for several hours. Now, let's talk about worlds beyond this one and how witches view other worlds or parallel dimensions. We know that we create our personal realities out of infinite possibilities of the universe around us. Consensual reality is what we call when our society generally agrees that something is real. Our society says that toasters are real and trolls are not. We behave as if this is true. We put bread into shiny boxes, but we don't hire guards to watch for trolls. For most of us, this is just reality. No one understands the totality except the Creator or Supreme Being or Great Spirit. Remember that we are all made of those beliefs, perceptions, and experiences that allow it into our consciousness. Every individual's reality is unique. Maybe you believe in ghosts, but your neighbor doesn't. He believes in Christian hell, but you don't. You both base your actions and your whole lives on what you believe to be real. And from the infinitive resources of the vast universe around us, you can find, each of you, some evidence to support your reality. we have models of reality. Many philosophies have the idea of planes of existence, which range from the underworld through the dense material and body physical plane, up through finer states of energy and consciousness, all the way to God. All these subtle words penetrate the physical universe. They exist here, but are so ethereal that they cannot usually be seen or felt by us, dense, gross creatures. The Rosicrucians have 7 cosmic planes, from the world of God down to the physical world. Sufis, Buddha, and Buddhist Muslims, everyone has a model of cosmology that's different. The Norse have Yggdrasil, the enormous ash tree with the house of the gods high in its branches, our world of Midgard at its base, and great roots twining through the realms of the dead. The ancient Greeks have the underworld, where Hades and Persephone reign, and our world and the gods' home on Mount Olympus, and the Elysian fields for the more fortunate souls. Jewish mysticism has the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, with the 10 Sephirot or spheres, representing the different levels of reality and the emanations of the divine. Now witches don't argue the scientific view of the cosmos. We just think it's a bit limited. Witches believe that there are more realities, what we call planes of existence, that most muggles understand or experience. Science has not discovered most of these realms, mostly because they aren't looking for them. Here's one we can model. The physical universe, as described above. The Summerland. The Summerland is where human souls go between the lives to rest, reflect, and prepare for the next incarnation. The shamanic lower world, a spirit world where we can meet animal spirits and other discarnate beings and do inner work and healing. The astral plane, a higher realm where thought is reality and even more discarnate species live. We create stuff by putting a thought or concept on the astral, then pouring energy into it until it becomes denser and manifests in the physical universe. We can, however, create special places there and leave them on that plane. The realms of the gods, which are the divine creative energy. The witch's cosmology is not just an airy-fairy idea. Witches can not only perceive the planes, but go there. Astral travel gets us to the more subtle planes, shamanic journeys let us travel to the lower world, and aspecting the gods gives us a glimpse of the divine plane. Now, somebody asked me, if you can visit other worlds, why can't those different incarnate or discarnate beings visit ours? And what are these other inhabitants? Who dwells in these realms beyond our everyday world? Well, let's begin with our ancestors, the mighty dead. Many cultures, including Wicca, believe that our ancestors and deceased kin can watch, protect, and guide us from the afterlife. Each year, at some time, we contact those who have passed on in the past 12 months, as well as those who have been gone longer, but are still beloved. Some witches set up shrines in the departed, either just as Samhain or for year-round remembrance. Ghosts are mere revenants, images or memories impressed into a place by extreme emotional energy, for example at the moment of death. They have no consciousness, they are only a psychic recording. The elemental spirits are the essences of the great building blocks of the universe: earth, air, fire, and water. In pagan lore, they are traditionally visualized as gnomes, sylphs, salamanders, and undines. However, sometimes they're represented as animals. The fairy folk, also called good neighbors, the Sikhi, the fair folk, and the elves, are controversial. Some say they are folk memories of the aboriginal inhabitants of the old countries in England and Europe. Others believe they are a race of highly evolved beings who exist on another plane, but sometimes materialize and interact with humans. For some, they are more like the quaint, cute flower fairies that were popular in Victorian England. Now let's talk a little bit about fairy folk. Fairies were not always portrayed like Peter Pan's Tinkerbell, as tiny flying sprites dressed in flower petals. Some say that the real fairy folk were the aboriginal inhabitants of the British Isles. They were smaller than the later invading Celts and Anglo-Saxons. Some live in turf-covered dugouts later called Hollow Hills, or the underground fairy realm. They have Stone Age technology, but were skilled at woodcraft and plant lore. Scots lore says that they sometimes intermarry with the newer immigrants, so many people living today do have fairy blood. Animal spirits, likewise, are the species or over-spirits of each kind of animal. We call them wolf or wolf spirit. They are highly intelligent and epitomize the chief strengths and virtues of each species, such as memory and wisdom for elephants, or healing and playfulness for dolphins. Many witches work with one or more of these allies or guides, sometimes with power animals. Other entities who fit into none of these categories dwell beyond our world. They have their own lives and needs and desires. Some are intelligent and some are not. Some are benevolent towards humankind, many are indifferent, and a few seem malevolent. Christians call them angels and demons, but that is a huge simplification. They could also be reality behind alien visits, some ghost sightings, and encounters with legendary creatures like yetis, mermaids, and monsters. The universe is more full of light than we can dream, but much of it is invisible and exists in other planes of reality that barely intersect with ours. Some of these realms that we just know and with courage can even visit. Let's go to the next module, in which we're going to learn a little bit about divination, tarot, and psychic skills and talents beyond the everyday, for the everyday witch. I'll see you then.